Hi guys, and thank you for joining me for this yoga Sidsel video. This is going to be a 30-minute practice for grounding down. So let's start on the ground. Or rather, we'll come to all fours and spreading your fingers wide, stacking your shoulders over wrist and your hips under, or hips over knees, and just a few rounds of our up cat or happy cat and angry cat. Inhaling to look forward. Scissoring your knees together, and as you exhale, round your back, look at your belly button. Press the floor away. One more time, looking forward. And exhaling, round the back, squeeze your butt. And then last time, looking forward. And back. And coming to a neutral spine, coming onto your elbows and walking your feet back. Staying in a forearm plank, squeezing your bum and just pausing for a moment. Pressing down through the balls of your feet and your forearms. And then lower your knees to the floor, pointing the toes. Hips to the mat, Sphinx Pose. And now adding on the elements from up cat and angry cat. Rounding the spine, chin to chest, keeping the toes pointing and lifting your hips. And then rolling your hips forward or down to the mat. Looking forward, Sphinx Pose. And again, inhaling. Exhaling to lift. And lowering the hips. And looking forward, chest up. Last time. Lifting up, and coming down, returning to your Sphinx. And tucking the toes, lifting the hips, and walking your feet forward for a forearm balance, our dolphin pose. And then maybe lifting one hand at a time and finding your way to downward facing dog. Maybe wagging your tail or pedaling your feet, however you feel gets you ready, and then finding stillness. Lift both heels up high, bending the knees. Walk or step to the top of the mat. Fingers on the floor, look forward, and curl the head to your knees. Leave your left hand down, draw your right hand all the way up, and down. Knees can be as bent as you need so that your fingers touch the floor. And again, drawing the left hand up this time. Lengthening your spine forward and curling down. Head to knee. Squeeze your butt, roll out to standing. And taking your hands to the sky. And your arms along your side. Good. So standing at the top of your mat in your mountain pose. Grounding down through your feet. Feeling evenly weighted along the front of your foot and the front of your heel. Softening into the knees and having the sensation of trying to bend and straighten your legs at the same time, feeling yourself really ground down into the feet. And then from here, saluting the sun. Circling the hands all the way up, reaching tall and curling down. Hands flat to the mat, head to knee. So the knees bend as much as they need to, look forward. Lift your heels and step back. So with our hands flat, we've got a bit more of a press back, high plank. Bring your knees to the floor, come down to your bellies. Lifting your hands, squeezing your butt. Lifting the chest, unsupported cobra. And lower down. Hands next to ribs. Push up to your knees and back to your downward facing dog. Pressing down through the knuckles of your fingers. Lengthening your heels towards the floor and pulling your hips away from your hands. Long spine. After a few breaths here, lifting the heels up high, bending the knees. Keep your hands flat on the floor. Walk or step to the top. Keep your hands flat, knees bend as much as they need. Look forward. Curl in. Squeeze your butt, roll up to standing. Take your hands to the sky. And roll down. Good. We're going to move on. Sun salute B. Sink the hips as low as you go. Take your hands forward, chair pose. And then curl down, hands flat, head to knee. looking forward. Lift the heels, keep your hands flat, walk or step back, high plank. And either bring your knees to the floor, keep your legs straight, and come down to your bellies. Squeeze your butt, lift your hands, lifting the chest, unsupported cobra, and lower down. Pushing up and back to down dog. Good. So just to prepare, floating your right leg up, nice strong leg. And then lifting up onto your left tiptoes, bring your right knee to your chest. And stretch your right leg back. And step your right foot halfway forward. Left heel to the mat. Front knee bend, squeeze your butt, roll up, hands to sky. And taking your hands back down to the floor. Stepping back to your plank. And coming down to your bellies. Point to the toe, lifting your hands, unsupported cobra. And lower down. Pushing up and returning to down dog. The left leg floats up, nice strong leg, lifting onto the right tiptoes, bring your knee into your chest. And press the leg back. And step the foot halfway forward. Right heel to the mat, front knee bend, squeeze your butt, lifting your hands to the sky. Hips face forward, and then bring your hands back down. Hands to the floor, stepping back. High plank, belly, point the toes, lift the hands, unsupported cobra. And lowering down. Pushing up to your downward facing dog and pausing for a moment. And grounding down into all four paws. Pulling your hips away from your hands, long spine. And after a few breaths here, lifting the heels, bending the knees. Walk, step, or float to the top. Keep your hands flat. Knees bend as much as they need to look forward. And curl in. And keeping your heels on the floor. Sink your butt as low as it goes. Hands forward. Chair pose. Squeeze your butt, come all the way up to standing. And curl down. Hands flat, head to knee. Sink your butt as low as it goes. Take your hands forward, chair pose. Round two. Curl down, hands flat, head to knee. And looking forward, lifting the heels. Hands are flat so you can shoot back, high plank. Now you might be ready for full upward facing dog, chaturanga and full upward facing dog. Or like we've been doing, you can come down to the knees for your unsupported cobra. This is upward facing dog, knees are off the floor, hips are off the floor. And then tucking the chin, lifting up, and we'll all meet in downward facing dog. And the right leg floats up, the right foot steps halfway forward, the left heel to the mat, squeeze your butt, lift up, warrior one. Anchoring down through the back foot, and curl down. Hands to the floor, stepping back, plank, either coming down to your bellies, or your chaturanga to upward facing dog. If you're on your bellies, cobra, and then pushing back up, and we all return to downward facing dog. The left leg lifts up, the left foot steps forward, right heel to the mat, squeeze your butt, lift up, high lunge. Or not high lunge, warrior one, almost a high lunge, and curling down. Hands to the floor, stepping back to your plank, and either coming down to your bellies, or your chaturanga to up dog flow. And curling back. And you can always spice things up by alternating between your types of flow. One round might be knees to the floor for your cobra, one might be chaturanga to up dog. But doing what feels appropriate. And after this moment in our downward facing dog, lifting the heels, bending the knees, and walk or step to the top of the mat. Keep your hands flat. Noticing that little by little it might get easier to straighten the legs more and more. Finally, curl your head to your knees. Sinking your hips, take your hands forward like you're growing into a chair pose. Squeeze your butt, push yourself up to standing, and curl down. Hands flat, head to knee. Look forward, sink your butt, chair pose. We're going to add on a little to this round of sun salutation B. Curl down, hands flat, head to knee. And looking forward, hands flat, lifting the heels, and stepping back to your plank position. So you might go through your chaturanga to up dog, or you might this time come down to your knees, down to your bellies, and unsupported cobra, building strength into your back. And lowering down. And we'll all push up, and we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Right leg floats up. Step the right foot halfway forward, and the left heel to the mat. Squeeze your butt, take your hands to the sky. Leaning forward, bring your hands to touch the floor. Keep your front leg bent, anchor down through your feet, and rise back up. And again, exhaling down, hands touch the floor. And rise back up. And last time. And rise back up. And then bring your hands down to the floor. And stepping back, either go straight to downward facing dog or move through whichever flow you prefer. I'm coming through to the floor. Now I'm keeping my hands on the mat this time for a cobra, a little bit higher. And then we're all meeting in downward facing dog. Second side, left leg up, left foot halfway forward, right heel to mat, and the hands to the sky. So we keep our legs as they are, keep anchoring down, especially into the back leg, and as we fall forward, hands touch the floor, and we come back up. And again, rolling down, hands touch the floor, and coming back up, and down, and coming up. And we'll move on. So lowering all the way down. Hands to the floor, stepping back, either straight to down dog or moving through a flow. I'm again coming down to the floor. This time lifting my hands, squeezing my bum, unsupported cobra. You might have gone to your upward facing dog. And then we'll all meet back in downward facing dog. Again, feeling all four paws on the floor, noticing how your breath is doing. If you're feeling the need to breathe through your mouth, you might take that as a sign that you're doing a little bit too much, pushing yourself a little too hard. Allowing the breath to be even in and even out. Good. Lifting your heels up high, bending the knees, and walk or step to the top of the mat. Keep your hands flat if you can, and curl the head to your knees. And then sinking your knees, our chair pose. I'm sure you're beginning to love this by now. And then interlacing your fingers behind you. Squeeze your hands together, your shoulder blades together, elbows bent. And then straighten the legs, belly to thigh, hands up and over. And sink your butt, lift the chest, chair pose. And again, coming forward. And chair pose, lifting up, swap the grip of your fingers, and coming down. And again, sinking the hips, lifting up, and coming down. Release your hands flat to the floor, look forward. And lifting the heels, we'll walk or step back. And either go straight to downward facing dog or come through a flow. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Floating your right leg up. Bring the knee into your chest. And step the foot between your hands. Soften the back knee, squeeze your bum, take your hands to the sky. And interlacing your fingers behind you. My pants seem to be falling down. Good. Bending your elbow, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Leaning forward. Humble lunge. And coming back up. And again, leaning forward, humble lunge. Hands lift. And coming back up. This time leaning halfway, and maybe you lift the back leg. Warrior 3 with your hands clasped, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And land the foot, taking your hands up toward the sky. Left hand down, right hand up, lunge with a twist. And bring your hands down, stepping back to your downward facing dog. Second side, left leg up. Bring your knee into your chest and step the foot between your hands. Soften the back knee, squeeze your butt, take your hands to the sky. And interlacing your fingers behind. And that again, it's the other little finger on top. Elbows bent, shoulder blades squeezed together. And we lean forward, humble lunge. And coming back up. And again, coming forward. And coming up. And this time just halfway. And either stay on the tiptoe of your back foot or lift it up to hip height. Warrior 3. And then landing your foot, releasing your hands to the sky, high lunge. Right hand down, left hand up. And both hands to the floor, stepping back, down dog. Lifting your heels, rolling forward. And maybe come down to your bellies or move through your flow. I'm keeping my hand on the floor for higher cobra. And lowering down and pushing up and back to down dog. Lift both heels, bend both knees, and walk or step to the top of the mat. Hands flat, look forward, and curl in. Sink your knees, and take your hands forward, chair pose. Now as you bring your hands to your heart, bring your right knee to your chest, standing up. Take your knee out to the side, without turning at the hips, and then maybe helping your foot to the inside of your leg for a tree pose. And just pausing for a moment, pressing the foot into the leg, standing firmly on your feet, growing roots down through the floor. And then from here, bring the knee back into your chest, pressing the foot out behind you. And maybe right hand to hip, left fingers to floor. Whoa. Half moon pose. Maybe extend the top hand towards the sky. And if you can't reach the floor, bend a little more into your standing leg so the floor comes closer. And then you're going to land your foot, straighten the bottom leg, straighten out the spine, triangle pose. Squeeze your butt. And then maybe you wrap the top arm behind your lower back and your fingers might come to the thigh. If you want to add on a little more, reach the bottom hand forward. Unsupported bound triangle. And then lifting up, reversing your warrior. And cartwheeling yourself down to the floor and step forward. Hands flat, head to knee. Second side, sinking your hips. Growing into your chair pose. Hands to heart, left knee to chest. And taking the knee out to the side. Keep your hips facing forward. And then bring your foot to the inside of your thigh. Grounding down. Coming together. Feeling calm. And then slowly bring the knee back into your chest. And as you press your left leg back, you stand, or you bend more into your standing leg to bring your left hand down to your right hand down to the floor, and your left hand to the sky. Strong leg. So even that lifted leg is like a standing one. It's that strong. And then slowly landing your foot down at the back of the mat. You straighten the bottom leg, you straighten out the spine. Triangle pose. And either staying like this, squeezing your butt, pressing your pelvis out to the side. Or maybe you wrap the top arm behind your lower back. And maybe you reach the bottom arm forward, gets a little stronger in your core. And as you bend the front knee, squeezing your butt, reversing your warrior. And then you cartwheel yourself down to the front, stepping back to your downward facing dog. And either move through your flow. I'm going to an upward facing dog this time. And then from down, or you could have stayed in down dog. I never finished that sentence. And then we'll all bring our knees to the floor. Sit down onto your heels and rest your head on your hands. And then from your child's pose, gently press yourself up. Come onto your hands, come down onto your elbows, and lower your hips to the floor. Sphinx pose. That's kind of where we started. And from our Sphinx pose, pointing the toes, tucking the chin, lifting your hips. And And then lowering the hips. Squeezing the bum, breathing down through your elbows. Tucking the chin, lifting the hips. And coming forward. Last time, tucking the chin, rounding the spine, lifting the hips. And coming forward. And come all the way down. So we're going to bring our hands back along the side. Keep your forehead on the floor. Pressing your hands down, squeeze your butt and lift your legs. Pressing out through the balls of your feet. And then lower your legs. Interlace your hands behind you. Keep your feet on the floor. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, elbows slightly bent. Lift your chest and lift your hands. And lowering down. Change the interlace of the finger so the other little finger is on top. And this time we're lifting the legs and the chest and the hands. Squeezing the bum. And release. Release your hand. Rest your head on your hands. Allowing the breath to become soft. Breathing against the weight of your body. Relaxing your diaphragm. Feeling all parts of your body touching the floor. And then our last back bend. So resting your forehead on the floor, arms back along your side. And it's the legs that lift first. So squeeze your butt to lift your legs. And then bend your knees. Then lift your chest. And maybe you stay here. If you can reach your ankles evenly at the same time, so not one before the other at the same time, you might reach the ankles, or it might be easy for you to hold the feet. Either way, you're going to kick your feet or your ankles into the hands, and your hands are going to lift your ankles and your feet up high. Squeeze your bum. Let the chest open. And slowly soften down. Again, let your head rest on your hands. And then from here, bring your hands next to your ribs. Push up, tuck the toes, and sit back onto the heels for puppy stretch. Press your hands down and stretch them forward. Get your spine really long. It's like you're trying to dig the balls of your feet into the floor, and your hips pull you backwards and your hands pull you forward. And then walking yourself up. And coming to sit onto your bottom. And then keeping your legs together. You might like to have your legs bent a lot. Or you can be, if you can sit up straight, you can keep your legs straight. But if your spine round bends, essentially, then also bend your knees. A nice rule of thumb. And then we're just going to slide forward. So just excuse the sounds of feet on floor. And we're just making it a soft forward bend. We're trying to keep pressing the feet against the resistance of the hands. And the hips are trying to pull back. Just like we're doing in a few of our postures. The hands forward, especially in down dog, the hands forward, the hips back. Before in our puppy stretch, hands forward, hips back. Here it's the feet pressing the hands forward, and the sit bones are trying to ground down, and that helps to give a sensation of pulling the hips back. And then release. Good. Sitting back onto your hands, shoulders wide, or collarbones wide, chest wide, and point your toes. And then inhaling your left leg up. And down. And the right leg up. and down. Maybe the hands come off the floor, or maybe keep the hands on the floor. Left leg up and down. The right leg up and down. Now you can bring your hands back to the floor if you need, or without the help of your hands, lift your feet just off the mat. You can do it. And cross your legs. Sit onto your bottom. Taking your hands up and then twisting to the right. And keeping your left hand hooked around the right knee, bring your right fingers to the floor behind you. And as you sit in this upright twist position, you're trying to press the right hip forward. And if you need, the right fingers stay on the floor and you sit upright, or wrap your right hand behind your lower back. The left hand is hooking around the right knee. Keep pressing the right hip forward. And then we'll release by taking your arm up over and leaning your left shoulder towards your left knee, stretching your right fingers forward. And then turn the hand flat and inhale the hand back towards your navel and release. Taking your hands up towards the sky. And then twisting to the left. Right hand around the left knee and the left fingers to the floor behind you. Sitting upright, pressing the left hip forward. Sitting up nice and tall. And then the left hand comes up and over. You lean across, shoulder to knee, fingers stretching out, thumb points down. And turn the palm flat and inhaling back, up, center. And take your hands all the way up. Uncrossing your legs and feet flat onto the floor. So I'll demonstrate this from the side. Hand to the mat behind you. So it's a tabletop position. Feet flat. Now it's really common to see people curling up their toes in this one. They're a bit afraid of it. But you'll be okay. So hands flat onto the mat. Bend your elbows, shrug your shoulders up and back. Let the chest broaden. And so with your elbows bent, you can push more with the hands. With your knees bent, you can push more with the feet. And squeeze your butt, push down, lift up. Take the hips high, bring the chest high. And keeping your neck nice and long, so the chin's slightly tucked. Squeeze your butt, lift your hips higher. With your elbows soft, can you push the floor away, lift your chest higher. And slowly, gently, lowering down. And then crossing your legs if you remember which leg came in front before. The other one, circle your hands up. And bring your hands down to the mat and walk forward. You can stay up on spider fingers. Keep your feet slightly flexed. And then the breath come down towards your lower back, filling up along the spine. And walking yourself up. The right leg stretches out, and then your left foot stays on the floor on the inside. So left foot stays on the left side. Then you can reach your right fingers on the floor, left hand up, and bring your left arm to the inside. And there's another twist, open belly twist. Bringing your shoulder to the inside of the knee if you can. Sitting up nice and tall. Maybe keep the right fingers on the floor. Maybe your right arm can wrap behind and hold on to the top of the thigh. Maybe you can reach forward and hold on to the big toe. And if you're holding the big toe, you're pressing against the fingers. And then gently release. And swap sides. So the left leg forward, the right leg bent. Left fingers on the mat and the right hand up. Get long, and then bring your shoulder to the inside of the knee. And we're staying upright, and you might stay here. Again, remember, always options. Or maybe your left arm can wrap behind and grab onto the top of your thigh. And maybe you stay here, and it's already quite strong for the core to stay unsupported. Or, if it was available, you might be able to reach your big toe. So So it's a forward, bending, twisting, bound posture. And then gently release. And from here, bring the soles of your feet together. A little bit wide, and we're going to aim the top of the head down into the ball of the feet. Your fingers can rest on the floor or your legs, tucking the chin and rolling down. Use your hands to press yourself up. And then turning onto your mat, we're going to roll all the way down. And from here, feet hip distance. Squeeze your butt, lift the hips up high, so you're really pressing down into the floor, and interlace your hands underneath. Round down to lift up. So it's often like that. The more grounded we are, the more we can do, the more confidence we have to go forward. So press down to open up. And then gently release. Bring your knees into your chest. Turn your soles of your feet to the sky. Hold on to the edges of your feet for happy baby pose. Knees are wide. And if you've got very flexible hips, you might like to have your arms on the inside. And you can use the weight of your arms even more to encourage the knees down. And if sometimes it's easier just to keep the knees wide and the arms wide. So again, options. And then from here, keep holding on to the right foot, and you're going to stretch your left leg up. And then slowly you can keep your left hand out to the side if you need for balance. You're going to straighten the leg out long, hover it just off the floor, and then keep your right foot flexed as you bring the right shin across your chest. And again, it doesn't have to come a lot, so it all depends on your external hip rotation. Maybe you lift up. Maybe your forehead comes to the shin. And then slowly lowering your left leg all the way down, lower your head and shoulders. And then you're going to bring the left hand to your right knee, draw the knee across your body. And you might like to stay here. Press the hand to the outside of the knee and press the knee up. So the knee might not necessarily rest on the floor, but you've got a little bit more activity in the outer hip. Keeping the foot slightly flexed. And if you would like to add on a quad stretch, bending the bottom leg, bringing your left heel towards your butt, and then kicking the foot against the hand for a bit of a quad stretch. So we're stretching the outer hips, and we're stretching the quads, but it's an active stretch of both. And then start by releasing the bottom leg, rolling onto your back, hug the knee in, and find your way back into happy baby pose. And this time we hold on to the left foot, and we stretch the right leg up towards the sky, and then forward, and down so it hovers just off the floor. And we begin to bring our left shin across the chest. Again, it might not be a lot, so be careful with your knee. Make sure your foot is flexed and that you're squeezing into the back of the knee as if you're holding a pencil. Maybe you lift your head off the floor, squeeze your butt for support and opening, and then lower down. Bring your foot all the way to the floor, and then straightening out your right leg or your right knee. Bring the knee into your chest, and drawing the knee across your body. So the left hand, or the right hand presses into the outer left knee, and you keep that supported. So the knee won't necessarily come all the way to the floor. You want a little bit of activity. And then if you went for the quad stretch, you reach back and hold on to the right foot. The right foot is kicking in to the hand, and again it becomes an active quad stretch. And releasing first the bottom foot, and then rolling onto your back, hugging your knee into your chest. And then hugging both knees into your chest, maybe rocking a little from side to side. And from here, sliding your legs out along the floor for the final and most important part, Shavasana. Welcome home. welcome home to Shavasana. Welcome home to yourself. Let yourself become super heavy. Let the breath soften. Let yourself bathe in the warmth and the tingles that's moving through your body. And letting go. And again, you can always stay here for as long as you like. And when you're ready, you roll over onto your side, disturbing yourself as little as possible. Just savoring the moment a little longer. And then from here, using both hands to press you up, allowing yourself to become more and more aware of your body and where you're sitting, and finding yourself into your favorite seated position, letting your hands rest on your knees, pausing for a moment, becoming aware of any physical sensations, becoming aware of the breath, and becoming ever more present. And final circling of the hands up towards the sky. Bring your hands together and then bring the hands down as you allow the energy to ground around you. Resting your thumbs against your heart. Feeling yourself comfortable and calm. Bowing our head towards our heart, acknowledging that the head is forever servant of the heart. Namaste. Thanks for joining me. Come back again soon. Namaste.